Octo KS-250, replacing the motor, and also do the basic maintenance just with a screwdriver. I'll show you how it's done. The motor itself can be purchased from Amazon. It's quite affordable, and these particular motors are very efficient and extremely quiet. So if you have got an Octo Kalkwasser stirrer and it needs to be replaced, here's how it's done. And also I'm going to be doing the basic maintenance of this unit as well. So here we go. So before we start, just like to mention that just in case, I do have these in stock. These are O-rings, and you can buy them from your local Screwfix here in the UK. And also I've got a set of circlips. Okay, this is possibly maybe needed, I'm not too sure, but just in case, it can, you know, as you are as you are removing the motor from the unit, there's a connection of a pin, and on that pin there is a circlip, very small and tiny, that can either get lost whilst removing it from the pin, and it may need replacing, but I have it in stock anyway. And the pin itself is in this location. You can just about see the pin there. Okay, if I just move the unit round, you may just be able to see the circlip, which is just along there. I'm not too sure whether you can catch that, but let's see if we get a better picture. No. It's there anyway, and I will show you once it's removed. So the idea is to remove the lid. Okay, you've got a stirrer bar, which has got a plastic screw on it to be removed, and then there are 4 Phillips star screws that are meant to be removed. That's quite easy, and this cap needs to be removed, which is quite simple. The wiring has to be removed, and I'll show you how I'm going to do this. So if you just stand by, I'm going to start taking this unit apart. So I've removed the lid, and the next bit is to remove this stirrer bar. It's quite simple. All you need is a screwdriver and to twist anti-clockwise, and it should remove quite easy. Once it's loose, you can use your hands to further and loosen the screw. There's a plastic screw, okay, and it just pops out, just as simple as that. Now secondly, you've got these 3 plastic screws here, okay, which are hand tight. You can remove them quite easily, and they come out quite quickly. So let's go ahead and remove these 3 screws. We go 2, and the last final one is 3. Okay, now this lid here should just pop out, easy as pie. Okay. Okay, so now you've got an O-ring there that seems to be in perfect condition. Okay, now we just need to turn over the motor head housing. Okay, and it's got a plastic screw here. Okay, and again, it's quite simple. It's to anti-clockwise, and it should remove. Now you may need at this point, okay, a sharp object, but not too sharp. So a blunt object, okay, just to pry this lid open. If you just bear with us, I'll see if I can get a tool. Okay, so if you just get screwed over in there, and it should pry off like so. Once it's pried off, just be careful not to damage the housing. Okay, now that should just pop off like so. And at this point, you can loosen this screw here, which will give you more access to the wire, so it can be more flexible. Okay, and there you have your housing here for the motor. You then, okay, remove 4 screws. Okay, these are done quite easily. 2. These screws are not massively tight. You don't have to over tighten them when installing it all back together. So you don't have to go mad on it. 3. And the final one is 4. Remove the last one by hand. Okay, and there we are. Okay, so now it's partially removed. Okay, the motor's not going to go nowhere. It's because, as I mentioned earlier on, it's the pin that goes from the motor to the actual spindle that spins. Okay, and moves the stirrer. Okay, there's a connection here of the pin. Now the circlip pin, which is along here. Okay, which is very hard to see. I don't know whether you can catch it on camera. Okay, you just need a basic screwdriver, preferably a magnetic one. Okay, and you push that circlip out and remove the pin. That way, in order it could be, the motor can be removed out of the shaft. Okay. So I may have a clearer picture in order to see what I'm doing. You can just see the circlip pin there. Okay, and see the shaft within the center of the unit there. Okay, so that's got to be removed. Okay, and the only way I can think of removing it is with a small magnetic screwdriver. Do have patience, and it will eventually, you can, you will be able to remove it quite easily. It does take time. Just all I'm doing is to remove it up. I'm usually one hand, but I'm not going to be able to do it one hand, so I may have to put the camera down. So this is the pin that needs to be removed, and once you get in that position, it should just sorry about the movement. Oh. Should just put it in there. Just bear with us 1 second. Oh, there we go. Removed. I've lost it, but never fear. I have a new set of circlips. So that bar there now should push down. There we are, like so. Remove the pin, and in order, that will remove the shaft and the motor. There's a pin. Sorry about the movement, but it's just quite difficult with one hand. Just like so. There's the pin. Okay. Let's see if I've got a shaft. And the motor should just remove. There we go. Motor has been removed. Okay, now let me just see if I can see and find the circlip. Nowhere to be seen. And that's the reason why you need a new set of circular pins, multiple sizes. And again, you can buy this from your local tool shop. Here in the UK, it's quite easily accessible, and they have all different kinds of sizes. But there's the pin, but I cannot find the circlip. Okay, so it's all been removed. Just to mention before going any further, the motor that was bought from Amazon was rated at 2.5 revs per minute, and it's what this unit was supplied with, and I managed to match the same synchronized motor, okay, with the same rev speed, which is 2.5 revs per minute, but this particular one, it's direct current, so I can just plug it in straight into a UK socket, and with a waterproof plug. And as you can see, it runs at 18 watts. Not much of a difference, but it just does the same thing, and it's a very good motor, so I've been told. So let's continue with the work. So the noisy motor has been removed. That's the capacitor. When you do order your new motor, the capacitor will be supplied onto the new motor, so you don't have to really worry about this particular capacitor unit. The fixtures from here just removed with 2 screws, and the screws are Phillips cross heads. Once it's been removed, the unit, the motor and the capacitor and the wiring, it's not very necessary to have any parts from that when installing the new motor. Okay, so I've installed the new motor wiring. Okay, as you can see, that's the capacitor. Okay, and it just needs a positive and a negative. The new motor will come with instructions. Okay, so you can have it spinning one way or you can have it the other way. Entirely up to you, depending on how you wire it up. Okay, just be careful how you wire up, and just keep yourself safe. Okay, so I can either have a negative and a positive there to rotate in one direction, or change the positive into here to rotate in the other direction. So it's entirely up to you, but it doesn't really matter which direction it goes in, because the stirrer bar just goes round, and there's no sort of propeller shaped blades, so it doesn't really matter which way it goes round. So hope that helps. So here we have the internal housing of the motor head. Before I go any further, this will just pop out. Okay, so we just pop it out like so. Okay, once it pops out, this shaft, okay, you can, once I get out, okay, give that a clean. Okay, and you can put some Vaseline in there. Okay, it's sort of a bearing, but not a bearing. I think the bearings are sort of used in a O-ring fashion, should I say, as you can see. So within the head, you can see there we have the 2 O-rings. Okay, this seems to be okay, so my O-rings are not necessary. I'm just going to remove them, clean them out, and grease them up with some Vaseline. That's one part of the maintenance. Let's refit the new motor. So some of the bits that came with the head was this capacitor here, from the old motor, which is not necessary. So that was fitted in this screw area here, which I've removed because that will be not really necessary. This particular part here will hold this connector together with 2 Phillips screwdrivers. The motor will be supplied with this connected to the motor itself, but I've taken them apart purely because these motors will heat up, so it just separates them and keeps everything safe whilst it's installed. And also this motor, depending on this, sorry, this is the new motor. Okay, and the new motor came with the hole in a different place according to size. Okay, so the holes don't really match up, as you can see. Okay, so this is much lower on the shaft, and this is much higher, but you don't have to fear with that, because the housing comes with these legs, 4 legs. Okay, they can be screwed, okay, to adjust the height. Okay, and also within the housing there are further screws which can help it to raise. Okay, so once you put your motor back together, it's all cleaned up, greased up, shaft bearings are being cleaned, O-ring should I say. You can adjust the height, you can adjust the heights by just turning it anti-clockwise for placing them more in the up direction. Let me see if I can get it for you. Okay, so if you anti-clockwise, they come up, okay, and clockwise they go down. So I'll just give you an idea of what it looks like. Okay, within the head housing. Okay, there we are. So we have a screw bit there. Okay, that can also be replaced and removed and adjusted as well. So entirely up to you, but there's only a certain amount of height you can do. Okay, so this particular motor, okay, is going to come up to the maximum height of the lid. Okay, that's purely because the holes are in the wrong place, but the motor can still fit, so it's not a problem. Or if you need to and you are more talented than myself, you can drill a hole in this sort of area here. It can be done, but this is the way of doing it much more quickly, and it will be doing the same job. So just bear with us and I'll put it back together. So this is the reason why you need a magnetic screwdriver, so you can pick up the circlip like so, okay, with steady hands, okay, you should be able to place it within the unit shaft where the pin is, and just sort of push it into that direction of the pin, and it should clip in. One hand, so I need to switch the camera off. Once it's in position, get your other hand to place it on the pin. Once you get the screwdriver in place, hold it tight and push it in like so. And that's your circular pin and your motor in place, connected to the main shaft that rotates the stirrer. Now we're going to put the electrical connection back, okay, which is here. Okay, and it's held on by 2 screws, which are Phillips, and you can just place it onto this holder here and place it in the right place, clockwise for screwing back together. Okay, just don't have to overdo, as they're all plastic parts here. Okay, and again, with the second one, screw it up together. Be careful not pulling the wires from the capacitor to the motor, but it should fit there firmly, and just give it a last tug. There we go. Remember to fit this wire into here as well before putting it onto this fixture here. Otherwise you can't get to the screws. Okay, and finally you're going to adjust the head height. Okay, so the top of the motor should just barely fit, or should I say approximately a millimeter from the top of the housing. Okay, so in order to do that, you need to adjust these feet. Okay, as you can see, the motor is flexible. Okay, but you need to go slightly higher, purely because the hole on the center shaft of the motor is in the wrong place, and obviously it's not the correct motor shaft for this unit here, but it can be adjusted. Okay, so you want to adjust it in a way where it just goes slightly high. Okay, so it comes to the top around sort of this area here. So this part should be the extreme top area, but not touching the top area. I'll show you. So what I'm going to do is roughly place the lid on. Okay, just give it a little tug, so it gives you an idea how far I've got to go. And as you can see, right, it's just about hitting the top part of the housing plastic lid, which is perfect. So now I need to adjust the legs, the 4 legs at the bottom. And the way I'm going to do that is remove the lid. Careful not to pull any wires. Okay, place the motor in the right position and lift the legs. Lift the legs. Okay, lift the legs by turning them. Okay, just to match up where the screw holes go, so that it can be steady. Okay, and then screw all the screws together. So don't over tighten them. You do the tightening in the final. You do all the tightening when you finally put all the 4 screws together. So it's just a loose screws at the moment. All 4 legs must be screwed in. Try to do this as quickly as possible. Like so, and I've lost the screw. There we are. There's the final screw going into the motor to the legs. There we go. And again, what I've used is a screwdriver so far to maintain this. Right, okay, so the reason why I've not screwed them tightly is because I still need to adjust the legs. So I can adjust by turning clockwise to go down. Yeah, you'll figure it out. Okay, so I want that around there. It's gonna go up slightly, it's gonna go down slightly. You can just measure all 4 of them visually. You can see and try to balance them all out. Like so, like so. Let's go down a bit. There we are. Because I'm just looking at the distance between the housing and the legs. This bit here, you can just see the distance. I'm trying to equal all the distance out equally on the legs. I think that's about right. So now to do the final tightening, as you're tightening, hold the legs so they don't turn. You don't want to go out of place. There we go. Let's get the screwdriver in. There we are. 1, 2, should have used a Phillips screwdriver, but this is the only one I got handy. 3, and the final one. Hold the legs, remember. 4. Okay, let's see how it is. Okay, shut the lid for the housing and just check if the lid hits the bottom of the housing and it's sealed up perfectly. That's perfect. It does in my case, and I can also see that it just about touches the top. The motor head just about touches the top, which is perfect. That should allow the stirrer bar to sit perfectly into the unit. So what I need to do is, as I'm putting the housing cup back in, you need to match this hole with this holder here. So to make it easy for me, what I'm doing is Vaseline the O-rings on the side to allow the cup to go back into the unit with ease, so I can match the holes together. So again, this is going to also create a brilliant seal, because the last thing we want is water to be within the housing of the motor or any salt creep. Going to place the wires in a safe place, just in case of any damage of heat. Okay, and then push the cup in to match the holes. So I've got the motor housing head on, motor in place, all sealed up, screw in, okay, tying up the wiring. And if you notice, I've kept the wires away from the actual motor itself due to the fact it may heat up and damage the wires, it may not, but I've kept it safe anyway. Capacitor in place, motors in place, shafts in place, circlip pins in place. Okay, and the O-ring's fallen out, so we'll just replace the O-ring. You can put a little bit of grease, Vaseline, should I say, onto the O-ring. Not necessary, but I've got a little bit of Vaseline in my fingers, which I'll just rub it in. And now, motor housing onto the lid, okay, which is in that direction here. Line up the screws. There we are. Put your 3 screws in. Like so. And again, only hand tight, just enough to hold, and give it one further push clockwise to get it nice and tight, but not over tight. There we go. As this is a quick video, bit of freestyling video, also I'd like to mention, okay, the wiring itself, it's a US wiring, okay, and it came with this bit here, okay, which is connected along here. Okay, it's a US fitting. Oh, there we go. So it was a US fitting, okay. All I've done is to snip it and then add a waterproof plug to it. So it's a UK version plug, converted from a American US style plug. This bit fits onto a transformer not necessary for this particular motor, so it's just a plug and play now. So that's all ready, motor's been changed, center shaft has been lubricated with Vaseline, motor is going to be nice and quiet than the previous old motor. Okay, I'm going to put everything back together, just make sure this wiring here, this tightener is nice and tight, and again only hand tight, okay, to prevent the wires from being pulled. Let's put it back together. There we go, let's all connect it up together. I promise you I've not tried this. This is my first attempt of plugging it in. If I can find the grommet that goes into the groove, there we are, it goes into the groove. Give it a little tighten, protected by water. Let's plug her in. UK style plug. Into the socket itself. Switch her on. Hey, voila. Absolutely quiet. I cannot even hear the motor spin. Okay. You can just about see the shaft. Just get around here. Turning. Can you see? Get a picture of it. Let's bear with 1 second. That's the pin there in the middle. And we'll just do 1 rotation, and then you can see the circlip where it's being pulled into place. There we go. You probably find that the most difficult part of changing the motor is a circlip, but with steady hands and patience, it can be done. I hope that helps. I will leave a description of the parts down below. If you need any help or any questions answered, put it down below and I'll be glad to help. There's the wiring diagram for the motor. There you go. Easy as pie. £26 for the motor. That's the company that supplies it on Amazon. Okay. Until then, happy reefing.